So we were here with Jamie Kennedy. Thank you so much for coming out here, man.
Thank you for having me. This is early.
Yeah, it's 11 a.m. when we're taping this.
11:08.
And now it's time for another interview on the Babylon Bee podcast.
Stand-up comedians don't like the early hours.
You know, bro, I was thinking about that. I never liked the early hours. I never liked school. I never liked getting up early. It's so hard to do anything early, but like acting, like if you have to do a funny scene at like 6:30, who can be funny at 6:30?
Yeah.
So then I feel like, am I a loser if I don't get up early? No, because I'm just nocturnal. I'll stay up till 4.
Yeah.
It's okay.
That's why I feel like I'm just as productive as other people. It just shifted the
100%.
the hours of being awake later is what I prefer, yeah.
100%.
Jamie, we are so happy that you are on our show today. I have so many questions. We're a big fan here at the Bee.
Thank you. I'm so glad you reached out to me.
Yeah, I am too.
I'm
happy
glad I
you
took the 10. Let's drive. These guys have a podcast. We're out there. We're out there.
But don't say our address though. Anyway, how do you find yourself here? You know, you are at the Babylon Bee right now. Tell us your story and where it started and how it's going.
Meaning what?
Well, we're big fans. I love you. I've seen you in Scream.
You saw Jamie do stand-up, right, recently?
No, I haven't. I've never seen you stand up, but I did see clips on your page, and I saw some of the things we're talking about, and I was like, oh, Jamie's like pretty outspoken and pretty brave. You're going against the grain a little bit, and it's very, very fascinating to see, because I saw, Malibu's Most Wanted recently for the first time, and I was like, this is so charming and so cute.
Wow.
Decided to follow you.
Came out in 2003, but thank you.
Yeah, I've seen
just getting
you.
caught up now.
I was in a horror movie called Scream.
Yes.
We'll get to
Yes.
it.
No, I've seen that too. And I want to ask about the new one that's coming out. Are you in the new one?
That's a lot of questions.
Sorry, that was a lot of ones. I'm just very excited.
I appreciate you having me. And it is because of you. I'm here because you reached out. And thank you. I'll try to answer the simplest one. I don't know. Like, I'm really honored that people are saying that, like, I'm speaking out and being like more truthful or whatever. And I feel that I just hit this place in my life where I think you become an artist. Not that I wasn't before, but to me, artists are, Bill Burr's and George Carlin's and Dave Chappelle's and Joan Rivers, where the audience follows what you say. As you're not trying to make an audience laugh, you're trying to make an audience think. And I feel that something happened, I guess, just like since 2017 on, it's just been a wild world that we live in. And I'm less scared about Hollywood opinions and more, I think people are, more than anything, want the truth. Or what they believe is some kind of semblance of truth, a baseline of truth. And I think that's what we're lacking in this world of like, remember when this used to be this? And it's this now, and that's fine, but it used to be this.
Right.
But people act like if you say it was this, they're like, how dare you? So it's everything was just, it's gone kind of bananas. But I mean, there's a lot of good bananas, and then there's some funny bananas.
Yeah.
But basically, in a nutshell, I don't know. I don't give
Strawberry.
Can I say that?
Yeah, we'll bleep it out.
You can't curse, right?
You can.
Are you just religious? I don't know. You guys are religious, but
It's a largely Christian platform, yeah. But
I don't give a poo.
Yeah. we edit
I don't know
words
that, by
over
the
those-
way, but
yeah.
I'm fine with that. I don't know any of it. I just know you guys are hilarious.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, go ahead.
That's what we are first and foremost.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you found through stand-up, now like Chandler said, you seem to be somebody who's honest on stage and speaking out. When you got into stand-up, did you want that kind of persona, or has it been a result of this change that you said took place in 2017, where it just kind of feels like you have to, when you're saying honest things, it's controversial now?
I mean, there's chapters in your life, like there's chapters in your career and your art, and to me, I'm trying to give you a simple answer, but like when I started stand up, I just wanted attention.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm really blunt about it. A lot of people say a lot of things, but I wanted attention. I'm a narcissist, you know? But a loving narcissist.
The most honest
Yeah.
man in Hollywood.
Yeah, so I want, you know, I'm youngest of 6 kids, you know, all that stuff. And so I loved it. And then whatever I could do to get that attention, once I was, you know, Pavlovian dog, if you will, or it's like once I realized people would laugh at things I did in life, that's when I tried stand up. And then it was the, you know, you test something in a positive feedback loop. So then I started doing that, and then I started gaining success, blah, 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 blah. And then I started learning I could do characters, and then that took around, blah, blah, blah. And then you do it, and then I will say that the art of stand-up and the business of stand-up is the only thing that's always been there for me in terms of Hollywood. Like, TV's been great, but, you know, sometimes it's hot, sometimes it's cold. Movies are great, sometimes they're hot. They don't love you like, but the stage has always accepted me. And now in the new world where we can pretty much just figure out through our social media, if I can create my own show and sell 100 tickets in Cleveland for one night, I'll do it. You know, they want to see me. So I think that as that happens, you get less, you just grow. And so I'm growing to a place now where I'm less trying to make people, I want to make people laugh, but I want to just say what I believe is truthful for me. And I think if I can say that in a way that includes people, I'll build. And it seems like not a lot of people are doing that. I mean, there are, but there's not as many as.
Yeah.
So it's like this new thing of like people are like, you're saying truthfulness. And I'm like, okay, that's awesome. I'll go with that.
I think it's brave, so to speak, because when people want to get into the system of Hollywood, they want to be accepted, they want to have a career in Hollywood, they want to be in movies, they want to be in TV. So they don't say things that, you know, would offend anybody, and they're like, sure, I'll get as many vaccines as you want if that means I have a chance. You know, and I think that why people think it's brave is because it feels like you're going against the grain because your priority is the truth, and it's not about it's not about appeasing anybody. It's just about doing what you want at this point, which is great.
Thank you. The hypocrisy is real. So that's what I hate hypocrisy.
Yeah.
And so whatever someone's saying in Hollywood, unfortunately, I know the truth. So, which is not great for them.
Is adrenochrome real?
Oh, yes, that was a big leap.
Sorry.
That was a
like
big
I said,
leap.
I have lots of questions.
Jeez. You know what? Are you really going there? Like,
Well, I do want to get into conspiracy
okay,
talk.
but let's go back.
Okay,
to
sorry.
that. Edit that and go back. Okay. I've never seen anything like that, but I have a theory on
Okay,
that.
we'll get into that for sure.
Bro, you just jumped like 15 loops. So, what was the question? You said
Before, is it adrenochrome?
no. Is that
She was saying that she thought it was brave.
Yeah.
No, what we were talking about, what we were saying is that Hollywood is
The hypocrisy.
yeah,
You're saying
the
you don't
hypocrisy.
like the hypocrisy of it.
See, it's early, man.
Yeah.
The hypocrisy of like, oh, how can I say this? I don't want to say this yet, but there's a very big actor out there pushing vaccines.
That narrows it down.
I know.
Yeah.
Do I want to say this?
up to
Okay,
you.
I'm going to say it.
I think it's okay to talk about it now. In the past, we've had stuff removed for
We
talking
can figure it
about
out. Here's what I'm going to say. Is
But
this.
I think it's
I've
okay
talked about
now.
him on my pod. Listen,
Okay.
I love Sean Penn. I love him as an actor. Man, he's incredible. I love Gene Simmons as a rock star. Maybe Gene took the vaccine. Sean Penn has gone so intensely like, if you're unvaxxed, it's a loaded gun. If you're unvaxxed, you can't leave your house. It's like, yo, dude. I doth protest too much. I doubt he took it. I doubt he took it.
Yeah.
I doubt he took it. If that's brave, then let it be. Because these people are pushing things. Everyone would have took the vax if they would have said, want to skateboard? Take the vax. Have a better day. And some days you might go, ah. just show that there could be a
Right.
bad
Nope.
side effect.
No,
No,
it's
it
safe
was
and
all
effective.
100% nutritious and
Safe and
delicious.
effective. Yep,
It
yeah.
was never on your skateboard.
And if you talk bad about it, your post will be taken down. These are
Exactly.
like very expensive
So-
brand deals, right? Pfizer brand deals.
Exactly. So once I saw that, I'm like, this is all, can I say, I can't curse, all BS. And then when someone like Sean, who I love as an artist, and if he sees this, maybe we can have a conversation. I'm not trying to have a beef because I respect his art. But dude,
Yeah.
chilling.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that. And so when I see that, that's when I'm like, can I curse? I feel like I don't give a about Hollywood because it's like full of like so much more
Bubblegum.
cool anymore.
Yeah.
Am I crazy? It's just not as cool.
Yeah, it feels like the illusion is kind of like coming apart.
Completely.
So,
and
yeah.
it's like not as fun. And it's like, but yet all the people that are like, you shouldn't do this are the worst.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, come on, man. It's
Yeah.
like people are like, stop. Like, mommy said, eat your vegetables. I'm like,
Sideburns.
I've seen, it's like,
Yeah.
I know how people act. I've been everywhere, okay? And I just hate hypocrisy. And also pushing something that is just a lot of people are saying that are side effects. Let me ask you a question. If I were to go and buy a piece of real estate, okay, and I did all my comparables, and I looked at the mortgage rates, and I looked all around, you would call me an informed shopper to make the best bid. I asked one question about experimental vaccine, and I'm a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah. No, it's definitely sus. And now that there are more like open reports about like, okay, yeah, children have been getting myocarditis. Okay, yeah, people are dying of heart attacks. A lot of celebrities are dying of heart attacks. There's a lot, like there was like an American Idol contestant that died the other day, like 30 years old of a heart attack. Oh yeah, suddenly died syndrome. Like but we can't say it. You can't say like, well, it's probably the vax.
It's a coincidence.
Well,
Yeah, no.
just a coincidence.
Still safe and effective. And I'm still seeing ads. It's like, oh, it's
It's
crazy.
a coincidence. I went to Taco Bell 3 days ago. I've had diarrhea ever since. It's just a coincidence.
There's no link between Taco Bell and
Exactly.
diarrhea.
I'm saying it's just a coincidence.
Safe, effective, and nutritious.
It's
yeah.
just a coincidence. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the problem I have is that you're not even allowed to ask questions about
Yeah.
it. So when you see these things where there's athletes dying on the field or having heart attacks,
Right.
I think it's fair to say, well, we don't know for sure that it's the vaccine,
Right.
But it's one of those
It's a
things that was very
factor.
widespread in our culture that you should at least be able to investigate scientifically and openly whether that's
You
contributing.
should be
whether
able to
you're
say it and go,
contribute to that. Yeah,
yeah, is this a possibility?
exactly.
Yeah.
And if you aren't, that's insane.
Yeah.
It's scary, and it kind of makes me feel like Hollywood is kind of, or at least being a part of that industry is kind of like a cult. Would you agree with that? Would you agree that Hollywood is cult? Look, I came from a Hollywood background too, and I was in the music side. I was a performer, and I had this crossroads in my life where I, wasn't able to perform because of the pandemic, and I was like, you know what? I want to start to speak out. I want to be brave, even though I wasn't very famous or anything like that. So I started working for the Beat, and I didn't get canceled because I wasn't famous enough, but people completely left me in the dust. Like everyone unfollowed me. All the colleagues.
Because of
I knew.
why?
Just because I started to make fun of things that are happening in our culture.
Okay.
Yeah, just like this call, and it's just an observation, and it's like you said, very few people are willing to do it.
Yeah.
And like that sketch you saw,
Mm-hmm.
they're like, oh, okay, you're like a transphobe, unfollow or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, it seems like you have to kind of align by this religious dogma of like, no, you have to take the vax, you have to be triple boosted. No, you can't, you're pro-trans, pro-gay, pro-everything that they say, and it's always changing, or no, we're not going to give you that role, or you're not going to get a job.
Well, I think that it changed. It used to be like, Johnny Carson would make fun of Ronald Reagan, but he'd also make fun of, a Democratic president. And I think when I started in Hollywood, it was very even. I mean, Tim Allen was just a normal person.
Yeah.
And to me, Tim Allen is still a normal person.
Yeah.
It's like a sin if you're a,
Well, like
if you're a
he's like
Christian or
considered like
conservative.
right wing and it's like what? He's just Tim Allen. He's hilarious, but that doesn't also not mean I don't think people on the left are hilarious.
Exactly.
Patton Oswalt's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Right.
So it's like people can exist. Both things can be true. And it wasn't like, let me tell you something. The only cult in Hollywood was money. And it was like, if you're we all go to the same parties and you see people. That's when I went to a really big party one time, I'm not going to name it, but it was at a huge billionaire's house and he has a lot of parties. That's when I really that narrows it down. And I saw every walk of life there,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, okay. This isn't like movie people just are movie TV and everybody just hangs if you're successful.
Yeah.
And there's no judgments.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I bet
So-
it's probably still like that too,
Well,
but
no,
things
it
have become
is.
so politicized.
It is.
Behind the scenes, I think it's
It is, and that's
but publicly
that's
you
the
can't
hypocr-
associate with
Yes,
it. Yeah.
but the problem with that is that yes, people are putting out these messages and people are believing them,
Right.
But yet they're going back into their private life and doing their bull,
Right.
But yet, so the masses are being influenced by lies.
Yeah.
So it's like, in a nutshell, I don't even think how I do see what you're saying. It's probably more left than it is right, and I'm considered right. I'm not even right. I'm not even political. I'm just me. But I guess
Right.
I'm more right now. But
Right. In a time where you are expected
I'm
to
an independent.
choose a side, and if you don't choose a side, then you are on the right.
Yes.
It's pretty crazy.
So I'm independent in my thought, and I believe I'm a centrist, but who knows? But bottom line is that, yeah, it's just that the market share is dwindling, in my opinion, anyway, because people are annoyed, so they're going out and being independent like this. And different people are building their own brands. So yeah, I'm sure there are certain that happens, but it's like I said, it's less appealing because I think doing stuff like this and telling truthful things is more exciting than just being on a set and playing make believe right now in our culture.
Yeah.
I believe we all have to do art to show a point of view, not just to escape.
Yeah.
What I think is really cool that you said is how you're putting out there that you still like Sean Penn as an actor, even though you
Love
just
him.
worked
Yeah,
there. And
yeah.
Patton Oswalt, you can see somebody
Love
who's
him.
funny, even if their politics aren't on the
Yeah.
same side. Because I rewatched Heckler recently, and what I thought was striking about it is it's a very interesting movie to me as a comedian, but also you see all these mainstream comics you have on there, and then you have Dennis Prager, you have Joe Rogan. There's a transgender actress that's in there. And it's all these people talking about the same phenomenon of heckling and their reaction to it. And they're all kind of on the same page. And that's just, what was that movie, a decade or so ago?
15 years ago, yeah.
And now it would be rare to see all those personalities from all over the political map and on all
Yeah.
sides of the entertainment industry speaking about the same issue in the same way.
And isn't that sad?
It is.
And that's what I'm saying. So I think I call it the great wokeness of 2017 is kind of when this really started. And this like, don't be on a set with me if you don't think like me. That never happened before.
Right.
And that's at 20, I've been in the business for 30 years. So
Yeah.
in the last 5 or 6 years, that's when it really changed. And that's, like you said, like that was never a thing. Like John Voight is one of the greatest
Yeah.
actors to have ever graced the screen. A top 3 of all time. Like you could argue he's the best. I mean, he's incredible. He's a movie star. He's beautiful. He's as real as you can be, but yet he can do any character. You know what I mean? He's like Daniel Day-Lewis mixed with the looks of Brad Pitt. I mean, and his intensity is David Mamet. And yet he's considered this guy who's like super on the right. Let me tell you something about John Voight. I've done 3 movies with him. Me. Like crazy Jamie Kennedy, right? But yet I've worked with one of the highest respected artists. We did a movie in Kentucky one time. The movie was low budget. It was like, $1 million. 80-year-old John Voight. I stayed in a cabin with him. Every morning, he would do push-ups.
Whoa.
This is not a movie. He would do like 30 push-ups. He would do like 30 squats. He'd make me, dumb Jamie Kennedy, breakfast. He'd make me fried eggs and toast. Okay? And let me tell you this. We would go to the set. We had a huge dog. We had a young boy actor. We had a family. we had to go down. I don't know if you're familiar with Kentucky, but I want to say it was Appalachia or whatever. We would go down in these huge ravines, and it was just kind of like I would almost just say it was a religious feeling movie, but it was a family movie. This man would grab the gear, like the lighting sticks. He would grab the camera pack, walk them down the hill with the crew, first on set, know every line, help with direction if you needed it, the last to leave the set and carry. To the point, I'm like, dude, the crew's that. He's like, we all got to pitch in.
Wow.
Literally I was putting stuff, this dude's stronger than anyone on the set.
Wow.
Up these hills. 80-year-old John Voight, living his truth. If that is right wing or whatever you want to say he is, then count me in, because he is a beautiful soul. He walks his walk and talks his talk. And I defy anyone to have the work ethic of this man, the integrity of this man, or the pureness of soul. Every time you go out, I've never seen him have a drink. And I've never seen him eat anything other than salmon and vegetables. The guy is the most cleanest liver. I've never heard him curse.
Super disciplined. Wow. Wow.
So it's like, what are these people saying? Like, how bad is your glass house to throw it at this beautiful, pristine piece of art? I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So when people started saying that, I was like, you're out, I'm out.
It's really crazy that like what's shocking today is just saying things that were okay to say in the 90s. And like we've definitely
Or the 2000s.
Yeah, or the
Yeah.
2000s. And I think that I can see how things have changed and things have gotten so politicized. It's interesting that you say it started in, maybe it did start in 2017, but it got like totally solidified during the pandemic when everyone's
Big
on
time.
the phone, everyone's like living through their screens
Big
instead
time.
of living in person, because you're saying that when you do stand up, people really, you feel that real time connection with people. And,
Yes.
and through the screen, it's different. Everyone hides behind that like technological fake type of living. So yeah, it's just nuts to see how far the culture has come, and Hollywood is a big driver of that. And
Like,
they've become so preachy, you know, like
Yeah, no one wants that. No one wants to be preached to, let alone being preached to Hollywood, let alone with all the stuff, the rumors to talk about Hollywood and the people. I think the normal person in Iowa sees the hypocrisy. And why stand-up is more exciting to me now more than ever is because I always say rock stars used to push the truth. Well, now you got
Right.
guys like Neil Young who were like a legend, literally shilling
Yeah.
against the vax, and then I'm finding out that probably his catalog was bought partially by BlackRock, and BlackRock owns a piece of Pfizer and Moderna, all that stuff, right?
Whoa.
So it's like, I don't know if that's true. You have to look it up, but like the rock stars are like being,
they're aligning with the
yeah.
corporations.
It's like what? So
It
comedians,
used to be anti-corporation.
Yeah.
Now they're like, well, like if the check
comedy
check clears,
is the last line, and
Yeah.
we are
Yeah,
now pushed.
absolutely.
We have to be that. If you're not a good comedian, if you're not pushing uncomfortable buttons, it doesn't mean you don't want people to be entertaining. But I'm not trying to be Johnny Vegas either. But there's a place for that. So I want to be both. But I would rather be able to do my own shows, sell my own tickets, make money with people that align with me. I love being in movies, but is it exciting anymore? You're not going to remember them. Like, I've been a part of some amazing movies that are going to last forever. I don't want to be a part of fluff. You know what I mean? It says, oh, let's escape for 5 more minutes. I'd rather, you know.
Yeah, and you've been a part of some like really great films, and you feel like I got that.
I'm lucky.
Yeah.
And I mean, I would love to do more, but honest to God, I'm not kidding you. Something has left me where I just feel like I'm fortunate. I have enough money. Do I want to keep doing stuff? Yeah, but I'm not going to do anything I don't want to do.
Yeah.
I'm 52.
That's really cool. Like that you're not willing to like sell your soul. You're not willing to do something that doesn't align with you anymore. That's like really cool.
Yeah, I'd like to keep my soul.
Yeah. Not for sale. Not for sale.
Rare in Hollywood.
Jamie Kennedy's soul is not for sale. You heard it here first, guys.
You said in one of your recent podcast episodes that you think Hollywood is dead or dying. What are your feelings on that? What do you mean there?
Well, like kind of like what we were just saying. It's like she said, like it used to be fun. It used to be cool. Like maybe I'm grown as a person, but you feel like, oh, I'm missing out. I'm missing out. If you wanted to, I don't feel like I'm missing out at all.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's in the sense of like this: the normal person. I'm gonna try it so simple, like because people can create their own content, and
Yeah.
because generally most human beings are narcissists. It doesn't mean it's a bad narcissist. So people feel like, hey, I have something to say, whether I'm a chef, whether I'm a fashion blogger, whether I'm an actor or a playwright, whatever. So people are like realizing, I'm not going to wait for mommy and daddy to give me, a job.
A chance, yeah.
I'm going to do my own. So independence is one thing. It's already. The other thing is the repetition of product, meaning sequel, reboots, blah, 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 blah. I think people are like, where's the, newer ideas? I also think the preachiness, which you said very eloquently, is a big thing. And I think that just general overall hypocrisy, but also just general distraction of eyeballs from Twitch, from TikTok, I don't have time to even watch Netflix series, but I'll watch a few TikToks, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's just, that's just the basics of it. But in general, I don't think people are like, I gotta go to Hollywood. Maybe they are. It's just, you can do it on your own. Mm-hmm. You don't need the approval. And I just think like the Golden Globe shares were down. I think the Grammys. I think the Grammys actually were up this year, but I think like
among Satanists, there was more Satanists.
That's a whole other combo. But I think that just general. I think there's just people are like, Hollywood's. Yeah. I can make Hollywood here.
I feel behind the times because when I got into the industry, it was on late night shows and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so I still think of that as the model, and it's what I miss, and it's what I grew up with. But it is shifting now to YouTube and TikTok and all these short form platforms. And what I'm sort of undecided about is I think it's great that it gives access to more people and you can kind of reach the audience directly. But I do wonder, especially with TikTok, do you worry that it's the sort of short attention span? Do you think it's detrimental to comedy at all, the sort of stuff that gets
I want to finish that question
Sure.
you said. That's what I meant. You don't need the blessing of the mainstream Hollywood to become successful.
Yeah.
And then the mainstream Hollywood will then come after you and go, we want. So it just shows you that they're not the tastemakers. Mm-hmm. The public is now, which they've always been, but Hollywood said it was. Mm-hmm. And then they'll go, how do we get? And I always tell people that are blowing up on different platforms, they're not going to do anything. You're already doing it.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I believe 1 foot in, 1 foot out, sure, you want to do a late night spot, it's great for legacy and to say I'm blessed.
Yeah.
But you don't need it. Do I think No, I don't think it matters because you can do a great bit. And if it's 1 minute or less, if it's funny, you might sell out flappers.
I think,
you know what I mean? So like, why is that bad?
I find I see a lot of people on TikTok that are, they go viral for a short video on there, and then some of them do get booked at a comedy club because they put butts in seats from their followers.
Yeah.
But then when they get booked to headline a club and do a half hour, they don't have 2 minutes of material.
Well, that's just early. So they have to just, they would have to, there's people like that, and I think they just have to book people around them and they could do 15 minutes and then build up. But yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying. And most clubs will book them on an alternative night so they can build it up. But yeah.
The other thing I see on TikTok a lot is, I knew you grew up from the Jamie Kennedy experiment, and I see on TikTok now these fake pranks. That's what always annoys me.
Yeah, they're fake. You can't tell if they're real
It says
or
it's
not.
a guy pranking his girlfriend, and you start watching it, and you're instantly like, come on, this is all staged.
But those go viral, like where you
ever
just
see
can't
those?
quite
You can tell it or you can't
You
tell?
can't quite tell.
I always can can
like
tell.
most of them are fake, but
I
it's like,
always
pranking my exactly.
faking
But
the
they always go
reactions
viral.
and
It's like
I heard all this stuff when I heard I've influenced a lot of them. That I don't believe in that. I don't believe in fake pranks.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
I think that's terrible. And I think that's lame. So if they do go viral, I think people are dumb to believe them. I never did that.
Yeah.
I just produced it really well, and then when we set the situation up, it would be nuts. So
And
I
the
did
fun
hear
is seeing
that.
the real reaction.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
You want to see a real reaction.
You know, I think it's really interesting that you think it's like a two-pronged thing. Like, well, first of all, like the internet is kind of like taken over and people have their eyes on those screens, so they don't have as much time to go to the movies. They don't have as much time to go to see Netflix. But I also feel like
they will. You will see Top Gun and you will see Avatar. There are huge, but then there's a ton of little movies. Like out of the Oscars of 10 movies, I know 3.
I guess my feeling is like it's really cool that you are able to now take your career into your own hands and go direct to customer and find your fans like through your own efforts. When I'm kind of like, yeah, sure, I'll do it my own way, and I feel a lot better about having control over making my own sketches and like finding my own audience online. But I just feel kind of bummed about the fact that the Hollywood I grew up watching no longer exists. And that's like what I wanted to get into. You know, I wanted to be in comedies, but like the comedies are like SNL is not funny anymore. Like Mad TV was the funniest
They're hit
show.
or miss, I think, SNL. They still have
I
some sketches
don't,
around.
I know, I've never watched it, but I just like feel like, man, I really wish that the comedy I liked, which
What
existed back
comedy-
then, is no longer like okay or like,
What comedies are being made?
yeah, exactly
What
my point.
comedies are being made?
It doesn't exist. It doesn't
Like-
exist anymore. It's just like that's so lame. So I guess I have no choice but to take the power into my own hands.
You have
make
to.
what I think
what
is funny.
comedy movies are being made?
They're
what
not
comedy
funny.
shows are being made? No offense, but Animal Control or whatever. There's a new show on Fox. I
know
saw Animal Control. Like, where's?
I don't have cable.
Yeah, so it's like what? I mean, like, there's no Malibu's Most Wanted. There's no Howard and Kumar. They're not making Caddyshack.
No.
So the only comedy you can do is literally what you're. Why does that hurt you so much?
I guess because
How old are you? Can I ask that?
Yeah, I'm 28.
Young.
I know, and
the
I'm
whole world,
having
and you here. Look
I'm
at
having a lot more success doing
be
the internet
Mr.
thing.
Beast.
Yeah,
Look what he does.
Yeah.
He built a name, and now through that, I mean, I'd buy insurance from the guy. So it's like he sells hamburgers, he sells cookies. He's a trusted brand. So that's what you got to do.
I love that you're
Sell
encouraging
hoodies.
people
Yes!
to do it themselves. Like,
Of
don't wait for
course!
Hollywood, especially because Hollywood is so cringy
Hollywood
now.
is not even owned by Hollywood anymore. Amazon owns it. Netflix
thought he was
owns
gonna
it.
say-
Tech people own it. I mean, it's not, it's just a legacy IP. A cable company owns Universal. It's funny because you're young enough you're really dialed into the old school thinking. I'm more younger, like get on
Yeah.
the board than you are, which is fascinating.
No, I mean I am doing it. Like I
know you are.
you've seen my stuff. I'm very very disciplined in
Are
posting.
you guys making money? Get real sugar. Go ahead.
He doesn't like our lame sugar that we gave him.
It's made from bugs to help
But
the
yeah,
environment.
I guess like the Hollywood that I grew up in like would have legitimized my efforts. You know what I mean? Like you said, legacy. I guess that's what's missing. Like sure, I've got the subscribers, I've got viral videos, but everyone has viral videos now, right? From doing these fake pranks. So it's like, okay, so what's gonna legitimize and I think I just need someone in Hollywood to be like, okay, yes, you're good. Here, be in a movie with some big person. But then I'll be like, okay, I don't want it anymore. I just want the offer.
Look, here's what I would say. I don't know what you want to do, but I would say is keep making a name for yourself, how you're doing it. If you make a big enough stink, Hollywood will come for you. And they'll say, hey, do you want to be in it? And if you want to be in a movie with Michelle Williams or someone who's really respected, then you'll get a chance because they cannot deny attention.
Until they find out I work for the Babylon Bee.
Is the Babylon Bee like bad or something?
Not really. I mean, I think it's very non-threatening.
What's
think it's
wrong with the Bee?
I think it's a growing brand, and I think we have a good reputation. And
It's
Yeah,
hilarious.
I think we do
I
too.
do for real.
Hilarious tweets.
Yeah.
Right, but we
Hilarious
transphobic tweets.
Hollywood will come for you, give you your job offer, and then invite
Well, I'm
you
not
to the
just saying,
adrenochrome party.
Yeah. Well, I definitely want to get into conspiracy talks.
Go for it.
Because I'm into that
Where you
sort
go?
of thing.
Start.
Well, I mean, should we talk? I mean, we can talk about
There was the Grammys,
Grammys
thing that just happened.
Let's
Did you see
talk-
that?
I didn't
Yeah.
even know the Grammys were happening until I woke up the next. But to
Yeah, I
me,
didn't either.
to me,
You
I
have to
saw.
ask one question at a time.
Okay.
Go no, go ahead.
That's my fault. I'm sorry.
you get
I get overexcited. But yeah, I didn't even know the Grammys was happening. And I saw Sam Smith, twerking in the devil costume. But I've seen it so many times before that I was just like, oh, more satanic stuff. Cool. Like it didn't affect me. But I was very surprised at the outrage that I saw. And I'm sure that I think the music industry probably is just like, so you're going to wear this devil costume. And a lot of people are going to talk about it. You're going to be on the front page. And then they're like, okay, yeah, sounds good. I don't think that they're like, it'd be really unique, fresh, and artistic. I'll dress up as the devil and I'll twerk on stage. What do you guys think? I don't think it's fresh or new or anyway. What's your take on the devil stuff?
So I kind of agree with you. I wasn't aware of award shows as much as I used to be. So that's a new thing. By the way, editor, you should edit out that first time you asked the thing about the chrome, and then we'll get into it naturally. I wasn't aware. So I was never.
Chrome.
I was never Look there's something to this, to what we're talking about here. Yeah, I'm not a religious person. I grew up a Catholic. I'm not a practicing Catholic, but I am a believer in do unto others as you want done unto yourself. And I'm a believer of being a good person. You know what I mean? And I believe I'm not so much dogmatic as I am just like, be a good person. But there's a lot of different belief systems out there that I can say, oh, I see truth in that, right? The Satan stuff, first of all, the fact, I'm like, is this in my feed? Because I'm seeing a ton of Satan stuff. And I'm like, is this? And then I'm realizing it's not. Like, a lot of people are talking about it. So I guess there was something called satanic panic, which I wasn't aware of. I guess I was too young. It was in the 70s, and it was like rock and roll and Satan, stuff like that. Now, I'm going to say a couple of things, and I'm going to try to be as concise as I can be. And it's your guys' fault for making me think this early. Like, I've talked to different people in the music business, and they've definitely led me to believe that there's weirdness there. And it's probably the weirdest of all our businesses. And it's a simple thing of like this. There's something with the music frequency. I want to say in the 40s, early 40s, the frequency of music changed from a certain amount of megahertz to another. And it literally became a different frequency for us. And it became hypnotic. So in a way, why music's become stuck in your head is because of these megahertz. Through that, if you wanted to get a message out, what's the best way?
A jingle.
Exactly. Yeah. So I would have like never paid attention to the devil stuff. I mean, I grew up with Ozzy and Iron Maiden and, you know, AC/DC and all this stuff and Led Zeppelin. I wouldn't have thought of it. But now, with all of this stuff, the Grammys literally, you can't deny.
It's just so obvious
that there's like, because if this thing, I don't know enough about it, but if this term revelation of the process is correct, which you know what that term is, correct? So if that is true, then it makes sense because they have to do it. But the fire, all the red, the horns, you can do whatever you want. And by the way, you know, I don't want to be canceled at the beat, but I really like that Sam Smith song. It's a good song. I don't know the words, but the feeling and the beats, it's good. So maybe they got me hypnotized. But it was very much had a theme of Satan. You're 100% correct.
Well, the song's called Unholy.
Which is crazy.
And the first time I heard it, I was like, I don't know what they're singing about, but I don't really like it. And I've had experiences like, where you know that song Fancy, like by Iggy Azalea? The first time I heard it, I was like, this is trash. And by the fifth time I heard it, I was bumping it in my car like, oh my God.
Song.
Yeah. And now it's like, I like the song a lot. I know it's like a guilty pleasure. So I do think there's something to that. Like they drive it and it's everywhere. It's in the TikToks. It's in like the commercials. It's on the radio until it gets stuck in your head and then you have to accept it.
I believe this, and I'm not trying to get canceled, but you know, like we said, it's dwindling every day.
So, okay.
I believe there's something to this, and it's just way too obvious. I believe more people are talking about it every day, and I believe that there is this occult, like whatever you want to call it. Multiple people have said it's the occult. There's something occult going on.
Yeah.
It was definitely had that vibe.
No, people like
It wasn't like normal people making. It wasn't like Bruce Springsteen just
Right.
up there. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
And by the way, I'm a fan. I think Sam Smith is incredibly talented. I love his music or their music, and it just went. They've
yes.
I'm sorry, and I want to be respectful. They have gone into, they've grown as an artist, but there's definitely something something there.
Well, I think that a lot of people in Hollywood openly and literally worship the devil.
Well, let me go back to that. On that.
Okay.
I have never seen that.
Yeah.
I have actually met a couple people that said they were Satanists, but they were like you.
They were like, "Oh, I just don't believe in anything. It's like personal."
They were like, you know, they never even said "do as thou wilt," which is supposed to be the thing, but they were more like, you know, just be free and don't judge. But these were,
Yeah.
I don't really know them, but they were people that seemed normal, and they were like trying comedy, or I would see them on the set, but they weren't like pentagrammed up or anything like
Right.
that. But then one girl did tell me what Baphomet was in a very educational way. And so I started seeing this stuff, and she's like, oh, this means this, and this, as above, so below, all this stuff. So it is out there, and obviously Aleister Crowley and all that stuff. Dude, I've never seen anything evil or ritualistic. I always tell people that. But have I seen people having a good time, meaning like, you know, parties and drugs and stuff like that? And if people had like, if they've had wild sex, it's in their privacy. But I've never seen any darker stuff. But is it out there? Probably.
Probably because your soul is too pure. You weren't invited.
Low key, I do believe that
Yeah.
people look at me and go, we can't corrupt him.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I feel like why I haven't gotten certain roles.
You have like a light.
Is that true?
I do think so, yeah.
That's a beautiful compliment, because I do feel like when I walk in the room, sometimes I'll make people uncomfortable, but I'm not doing anything. So maybe I do feel like they can't corrupt me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your soul is too pure. Because I do think that stuff goes on. Like, you know, and I had my time in Hollywood where, like, you know, drugs were being passed right in front of me. And I just think about my time. Like,
But
and
that's nothing.
And I was like, I
That's
never
not
got
satanic.
corrupted. Right, correct.
Cocaine is not satanic.
No, yeah, well, yeah, I agree with that. But I think that there's like a lot of, there's a lot of stuff that goes down that I might not ever see because I probably wouldn't be invited to that. Because, like, I just wouldn't be into that sort of thing.
Well,
but I do know people that have, like, after a year of not seeing them, like, they get the devil tattoo on their neck and, like, wear demon contacts, and I'm just like, what is going on? Like, people are going directly to the devil now. Like, no, I believe in Satan. I'm going demon mode. I'm like, oh,
Well, let's go slow though, because I think if you break this down in a simple level for people, they'll slowly accept it. So like, for instance, I know somebody who's famous. I'm not going to say her name, but when I brought up the music business, and she's very informed, she said, there's things there. That's all she told me. Mm-hmm. Do I think it's the devil, you know, the Robert Johnson, these different, you know, the Bob Dylan interview had to make it, you know, there's definite like, there's illusion.
darkness. Yeah, there's something there.
There's people saying it, but so like the Travis Scott
oh,
concert to me was another example of just a
darkness. There was a darkness.
super dark. And so I want to say to you is like this.
That's a whole other podcast episode. The painting of hell
Yeah.
that he was like mimicking, and
But
people
if you-
died. And
If you
like,
go to
ugh.
if you ever have gone to an event and then gone to a party and then the after party, like I've gone to like the Golden Globes and it was great. Then I've gone to an after party and it's great. And then people are like, still want to party, and you're like left with like, you know, 3 people and 1 weird guy, and the guy's like, "Hey, come to my apartment." And it's like 4:30 a.m. and he's like, "I got some good party." That's where I never would go to
the
that
third party.
Yes,
You
That's
And
how
I
you
cut
stay
think-
out of Satanism. You never go to the third party.
So
That's the one.
I think like when you gotta go to the valley, you know, at like 4:30 past Lancashire and Victory, and like that's so I never did.
That's
that.
where
So
you draw the line.
That might be where it gets weird, because I don't know if you've been to enough parties where you're like, that guy's weird. I'm not going. So maybe that. So I'm there for
and
a
you're not
good time,
attracted
not
to
an
like
evil time.
and you're not attracted to that darkness. It sounds like you're like, I'm not like, you sense the weirdness and
have
like
fun,
yeah,
but not.
yeah. Just
Dark.
keep you know, once it gets demonic,
By
you're
the
not
way,
into it.
People, I'm in the horror world. Okay, people cosplay all the time. Okay. That doesn't
Right.
mean they're secretaries, and on the weekend they have.
I think that's true.
That's just acting.
I think that's true.
But that doesn't mean there's
I
not
also
dark
think
people.
that the imagery, like I have like photographer friends that are like amazing at nightlife photography, and they're starting to do this stuff with it's like people covered in blood and stuff. I'm like, okay, I get that you're trying to be like edgy and cool, and there is a fine line. There's a line where it's like edgy, cool, shock value, and like genuinely worshiping the devil and being like,
Well-
no, I'm obsessed with blood and like blood of the youth and stuff like that.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's
I do
weird.
see blood sometimes in pictures. That's weird.
You sense it. You can sense when it goes from costume to weird. And yeah, and I think that's really the difference.
From my time in Hollywood, I think it's an overlap of the two. I think at the highest levels, especially in the music industry, I think there are a handful of powerful people that are into the occult stuff in a very real way. I think a lot of the people that are involved in putting these productions on at the Grammys or designing album covers, I think they're more going for shock value, and they think it's artistic and weird, and they don't really know whether they're serving some person above them who has nefarious motives. But I kind of agreed with you when I saw the Sam Smith performance, where it seems blasé to keep being edgy by invoking Satan. You've seen so many bands do that over the years, and it seems like every year's at the Grammys, it's they're starting controversy by being satanic.
That it was so controversial. It was like, okay, like I was surprised that there was so much of an outrage. But I was even thinking maybe it's this handful of people that hire the graphic designer.
I think there are certain people, but I don't think it's
Hold that thought. Like, edgy would be like having angels now.
Right.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
Right.
But I do feel that you were saying about the graphic designers, I could comment on that, but I want to comment on the other thing you just said, is that I do think there was so much backlash, I guess, like you're saying, because I think everyone is like, there's so much talk about it.
Yeah.
People are like, oh my God, they never saw this.
I think they feel proud about that.
They never saw this. And so maybe.
Yeah, like, we offended the Christians. Like, we offended those conservatives. They hate us. Yeah, whatever.
But it's not even offended. I'm not even a conservative or Christian per se. I think just normal people are going, what's going on?
Like, why would you choose
what's going on here?
that choice?
So,
yeah.
So I think the other thing is that, you said something that's very interesting. And if you do believe in this stuff, right? And if you look at it, think about if the occult helps you and you literally make a deal and something is sacrificed for you to gain, right? If that's the basic belief. Look at the Balenciagas, right? Mm-hmm. So people may be doing all this stuff and not knowing what they're doing because they have to get approval and then the next approval. And now it could come down from a very high place that agree to it, right? But the Balenciaga stuff is highly strange, very weird. There's a lot of smoke there. And that you don't so much as get to put one prop in a huge campaign without it going through steps of approval. So that was definitely approved.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't know. And then the case thing, like it was all intentional in my opinion.
I don't blame any of the worker bees because they're like, okay, this is what they want. But there's someone.
Right.
And then people may not aware of it. And then if you point it out and go, do you know what this is? Do you know what this is? Then they go, oh shit, I had no idea. So that's what I think. And there's a lot of that. You could do that in a movie. You could be, I could have been in a movie that's predictive programming. I would have never known it until we go back and examine it.
Right.
So that's all happening now. And I think the uncovering of all this stuff is why it's so popular because people are all going, what is going on?
Right. So
Strawberry.
Was a documentary then. I mean,
are you trying to get us killed? I'm dead serious. Like, you got to edit that.
She's good at jumping from one controversial topic.
You're right.
Because I don't know what the truth is, but there's a lot of stuff.
We can go through the editing together and make sure we edit out anything that's going to put our lives in danger. Because I do think.
Don't even say that. Don't put that idea out there.
You're touching on some things that I have been wondering about for a long time.
I'll answer something that you wanted to know, but I don't know anything about, but I'm starting to put sense together. You said something about the chrome, which is crazy to talk about. Okay, people will think you're crazy. But let's go slow with it. Again, I don't know anything about this. I've never seen anything about it. I never heard about it. The only time I ever heard about it was in that movie with Fear and Loathing. Okay, it was in there with Johnny Depp, and it was Hunter S. Thompson. Long story boring is this. I don't know anything about it. I've never seen that. But there makes some kind of sense in the fact that the young mouse, old mouse experiment at Harvard. Do you know about this?
Yeah.
They took a young mouse, sewed it onto an old mouse. The old mouse became young. Mm-hmm. Peter Thiel started a blood company.
Yeah.
Taking the blood of the youth.
Yeah, and it makes you younger.
So there's something.
The blood of the youth makes you younger.
The occult of vampirism.
Right.
So there's a lot of stuff around it.
In beauty, right? Like there's like Korean skincare that has like old
there's taking the needle and making
blood facials.
They're called the PRP.
Well, that's your own blood.
Yeah.
But there's like also skincare that is like from aborted fetal cells or like foreskin of like Korean children. Like Sandra Bullock talked about that on some talk show. They're like, she's like, well, it comes from like a certain skin. And then like, I think it was Ellen was like, okay,
It was
so
Ellen. I was there.
It's foreskin, right?
there?
It's Korean foreskin.
I used to work. I wrote for Ellen for 10 years.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
Yeah,
You did?
I did. Yep. Yeah.
Wow.
So I know all these secrets.
That,
He's like,
that explains your beard is so edged. That explains why I never met you, because you were busy working on a big show.
I was working there. Yeah.
So wait, so that was true?
The
guest?
the Sandra Bullock interview is true. She talked about getting these. It's from now. You know the adrenochrome conspiracy theories that they're killing babies or harvesting this stuff. She did talk about facials that you get from the removed foreskins of babies, and I think I've heard of ones where it's
Was she
from placental blood, and they do some sort of facial treatment with them.
so like,
And Ellen was weirded out by this as well.
Right.
That was true?
the blood and skin of the
Here-
youth.
here-
the
here's what I
facial
would say
thing is true,
The
yeah.
placenta thing is another thing, although you can consider that holy, where they literally...
That's your own?
Well, they take placenta and it's supposed to be filled with stem cells, and people they've eaten.
There's people that eat it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, listen.
But
there's
that's your own. You're not harming anybody else. right?
1,000%, but I'm just saying...
Oh yeah, I'll eat my own foreskin. No, I'm kidding.
There's something to what you're saying in terms of there's some kind of youth, whatever, in this stuff. So whatever it is, so there's a lot of smoke around it.
Yeah.
Whatever it, so again,
Yeah.
it seems like there could be some...
I just think in general it's so frustrating that like the cultural like gatekeepers, like, you could say it's the Democrats, or you can say it's like Hollywood, like whoever like decides like what's trendy and how things are gonna go, have been playing this long game. And now since 2017 to like the pandemic, like if you're a Republican, you're a racist. If you're a conservative, you're automatically this. If you question the vaccine, you're in that group. You're with them. You're the evil racist people that hate progress and hate trans people and hate gay people, all that stuff. They box you in, right? And I just find it frustrating that
But do you tell
even if
people
you-
that you don't hate gay people and you don't hate trans people? You
yeah,
have to
but it's
start
like,
there.
well,
Tell them you have a gay friend.
I have a gay friend, I have a black friend. No, it's just like in general, if you question the mainstream, you're boxed in. You can't ask questions about these and it's just a conspiracy theory. That was just an alt-right conspiracy theory. And then human trafficking and all these things become alt-right issues, and they're not right-wing issues. These are real issues that are happening, and because it's that's just a right-wing conspiracy theory, it'll never get addressed and it'll just get swept under the rug, and it's just so frustrating. It's like, well, like, why does that not matter more than like any of these other issues that we're facing?
But don't you think it's being addressed right now by doing this alternative media? I think people are losing faith in mainstream media, and I think in general, independent voices are coming up and people are making their own decisions, which they don't want. Remember, trust the science.
Yeah.
What's the science? So I think that we've lost trust in our mainstream, and that's why independent voice, and they try to discredit independent voices. So that's why I take things slow, because you have to say things bulletproofly. You have to be rational.
Yeah.
And if you get too emotional off the top,
Yeah.
you'll lose people. And I'm as emotional as you are, but I go slow with it.
Yeah.
Because
you can't jump because people will be like, oh, they're a conspiracy theorist.
so it's like, but there are everything you've touched on. There's truth in these things, but you have to deliver it slowly.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating, all of this stuff.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think there's been a loss in trust in the mainstream culture, but I still think like I would argue, people think like silent majority, but I disagree. I think the majority of people are still totally plugged into that matrix. They're like, I love Chrissy Teigen. I follow all these celebrity worship, and they believe whatever they sell them.
But I don't know if I believe that. I do believe that there is a very popular segment of Hollywood, what you're saying. And I feel like there's some animosity with you towards it. But it doesn't mean that's all of Hollywood anymore. Maybe it's because I'm on the road all the time. People are tuning out. Mm-hmm. They are unplugging from that matrix. It's still very popular, but I also think it's a self-feedback loop, because I do think there's a lot of bots online.
Yeah.
And I do think that as much as it's fed in your feed, I'm telling you, by going out and seeing real people and being in Florida, even Austin. You would
Yeah.
consider Austin like super liberal. Austin is a gun-toting cowboy and Berkeley. It's a great mix of an experiment. They coexist nicely, and so I think that you're correct, but I also think it's not as wildly left as you think. But it's not right either. It's just common sense. I don't consider this. I just consider this a podcast.
Yeah.
So it's sad that we have to do
Yeah,
that.
that everything's labeled.
Yeah.
I like that I wanted to hear what you're going to say, but I just want to quickly
I was
say-
going to say you get one more conspiracy theory question, and then we have to get to the 10 questions.
Oh, okay. Okay, that sounds good. But I just want to say I really appreciate your overall message to kind of sound like do your own stuff, don't wait for people to give you permission and an opportunity, and live in the real world and connect with real humans because that's going to be much more accurate than what you see on your screen. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm into when I came out to Hollywood, I was raised on Eddie Murphy movies and John Hughes and Rodney Dangerfield, and I was raised on that. And so when I came out, it was a very different time. I would have to make headshots, and I'd have to print the headshots, and I'd have to go to the courier. I had to deliver the headshots. I mean, it was a week process. You could take a picture and send it in an hour. So that's one thing. And the other thing is, I forgot what I was going to say. What did you ask me?
Donkey.
Well, I just like that your message is to take the power of your career and your creativity into your own hands.
Yeah,
And
you
don't
have
wait.
to.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of why, I made the Jimmy Kimmel Experiment, because I auditioned for SNL. I went far. I didn't get it.
I can't believe that.
Well, that's very sweet of you. And I was so depressed. And I literally was standing in front of the Comedy Store, and I'm like, what am I going to do? Why am I doing comedy? Like, I wasn't a comedian. Like, comedians are like George Carlin. I was just a guy using comedy to become noticed. And I did. And then I was like, for a month, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then, sure enough, through comedy, people saw me, and I started getting an agent and all this stuff. And the Jimmy Kimmel Experiment was born out of failure, but my own ideas. And the network was so young and so free that we kind of made this thing under the radar, and that's why it got to be what it was. And so that was a product of no different than what you're doing. It was just on network TV. So you have to look at that as just because it's not on network doesn't mean it's not as valuable. But I'm all about, I don't know. I think you have to just do what you do and make your own product. My brain, see, it's so early. Let me tell you this. I would never do a pod at 11 a.m. I mean, I don't know what it is, like rise and shine, give God his glory here, but it's too early to think. Why are you guys not at 4 a.m.?
I think you're doing great.
I agree with you 100%.
I think you're
Wait,
doing
are
great.
you did a TV show for 10 years.
Yeah.
And so you had different hours.
So we had different hours. When I was writing, we'd have to start our production meetings where we had the script ready was around 11 or 12, but I would usually stay late and try to write it the night before because I'm more creative at those times.
Are you still friends with Ellen?
I don't talk to her often, but I'm on good terms with her. I still, yeah.
I mean, one of the people that gave me one of my earliest breaks.
Really?
I love Ellen.
Yeah.
Ellen is, like, she's been going through some stuff, but
Yeah,
it's like she gave me. I consider here's a person. You want to talk about inclusive? I was funny. I did a show. I was like had one little line, and we did the read-throughs on her sitcom. This is when she was straight, but she wasn't. We all
Right.
knew
Before
she
she
wasn't.
before she did the time cover.
Yeah, but it was before the puppy episode.
Uh-huh.
And I could just dance, whatever. I was literally the wacky neighbor. And she laughed. And she's like, who's this guy? And that's our guest star. She goes, give him more. And I said, that's so nice of you. Thank you. I'm so. And she goes, hey, if you're funnier, the whole show's funnier.
That's awesome.
I mean, so she was. So that's confidence.
Yeah.
That's a confident person.
Right.
I don't want to look at labels. She's just a confident
She wasn't
comedian.
threatened by
Yeah.
you.
Not at all.
Like it'll lift us all up. If
She's
it's
one
funny.
of the. She's also. I've studied her stand up, multiple specials.
Yeah.
She's so good, so unique. I've never had an issue with her, and I think she's great. And I think that a lot of people, it's weird. She's a woman. She's successful. She's LGBT. She's paved so many ways, and yet people have come for her. So I'm a fan.
And yeah, she's a fantastic stand-up. When she went back to that
Incredible.
after 14 years and I saw her on stage as opposed to I'd watched her old specials and her old Carson set, but then when she was doing the show, until her Netflix special, she hadn't gone on a stand-up stage in like 14 years. And when you see her back up there, it's like, oh, she gets this.
Home.
She knows what she's doing.
Home.
And,
New Orleans too.
yeah.
But real, like she can be gangster. And she comes and it's but she's one of our greats.
Yeah.
But the confidence as a performer, you should know that's true confidence. I can't tell you how many people aren't like that. That she wants you to be funnier because she knows it's going to add to her show.
And to your point of inclusiveness, we're running a little long, but I think it's important. When I was working there, I was very open about being conservative, about being Christian. There was a point where Variety was doing an article about conservatives working in Hollywood. And our producers knew that I was conservative. And Variety contacted me and I said, hey, can I do this interview? And they said, sure, but we don't know if Ellen knows you're conservative. And I said, I'll tell. And they said, no, we're nervous. We'll let her know. And then I went to them later in the day and I said, did you talk to Ellen? And they said, yeah, we told her. And she said, that's good. I'm glad there's people with different points of view working here. So, and you know, I lasted there 10 years being, you know.
I feel like some of the Ellen rap she gets is people that are scared of Ellen and it gets overblown. You know what I'm saying? Like, ooh, you know, because you have to understand is the message gets lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of people who don't want to be wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, I could get crazy.
I don't know if it matters. We can always cut the interview down, but I want to ask you about this
Go for it.
Roe v. Wade film, and I want to talk about you were raised Catholic. I want to just hear a little bit more about what you're doing. I know that was 3 questions at once, but I want to hit those.
You do that.
I know.
I love your enthusiasm, but you're like, and then
It was just an overview.
Go ahead.
I don't sound like that, do I?
yeah.
Coming up next, for Babylon Bee subscribers.
He says, as you say, I'm indoctrinated in a cult, you're indoctrinated in that cult. So there is truth to that, though.
Yeah.
There's truth to both of it. But I believe in, look, people say, what about the women's rights? What about the baby's rights? The
Yeah.
baby's going, yo, what'd I do?
Wow.
And that might have born me. It twisted me up so bad. But I see the humor, but I was not built for that.
Yeah.
And it ruined
You were unprepared.
This has been another edition of the Babylon Bee podcast. From the dedicated team of certified fake news journalists you can trust here at the Babylon Bee. Reminding you that someone out there knows something about Carmen, and we're going to find them.